streaming Q&A. Thanks for stopping by. I'm just doing some final housekeeping. I'm trying to make sure I have YouTube Studio running right to the side of me so that I can answer any questions that may come in, because that's the point of this today. I'm looking at right now, the reason I started early was to make sure if I had any snags, and I think I'm hitting one right now. I'm going to refresh my YouTube Studio and see if I can get it to connect to the camera, because the camera appears to be streaming. So YouTube Studio should pick me up hopefully any moment. It says connecting software to go live. Viewers were able to find your stream once you go live. Stream setup. And this is going to be called Sunday Live. I'm going to edit that. Sunday Live. And I'm going to give it a name. I thought I had done this already, but I guess I didn't. So that's why I wanted to come on a bit early, so that I could clean up any things that I didn't like. Oh, okay, let's see. What's this up here? Oh, no. Okay, so let's see. That's me. So it's showing that I'm there, but it's just not picking me up. So I'm going to fix these little errors I have right now. That's why you go on early, so that if you have any problems, you can try to solve them before the audience gets here. So let's see. What can I try here to get this to go live? So we're going to turn this on. We're going to So I'm going to grab this really quick, which I thought I had everything ready, but apparently I didn't. So we will fix it right now. So it's showing that I'm live, which is good. Okay. I'm trying to fix these details. See if I can get here before noon. I have to make sure I'm on before you guys. That's why I jumped on early. Making sure everything is ready to go. Okay, let's see now. What I'm going to do now is go here where it says go live, and hopefully my, okay, let's see. It says connected. I'm going to delete this one. Okay. So now let's see if I am truly connected. We're going to edit the name of this stream. Oh, yeah, it's working now. See, that's why you go on early. So you can get all your little glitches, because no matter what you do when you're working on something live, or even when you're doing a shoot, you're going to have, it's not whether you will, you're going to have some issues. Whether you're hooking up equipment or you're doing a live streaming show like I am right now. I'm going to do a little quick audio test to make sure I'm getting audio right now. All right, that sounds good. So I am getting my audio. I'm going to move this camera back a bit, or maybe what I'll do is tilt it up slightly. Like I told you guys before, I'm always obsessed with having the correct headroom from being a long time cameraman shooting content. I'm always obsessed with my headroom. That's one thing that really gets to me when I see productions, and the headroom is like miles long. Even on Zoom calls that I have to purposely ignore it, because it kind of freaks me out. I hate seeing that that extreme extra headroom. It's such a pain. So yes, and pretty soon, hopefully, we'll have some viewers. I know I'm still early, almost 15 minutes early, but like I said, I'm glad I jumped on. I solved all my problems that I can see right now so far. The audio is working. I can see myself streaming. I'm set up to look at I'm going to bring the monitor a little bit closer because I'm set up to see your questions this time, and I'll be able to answer them. Whenever I stream on my phone, the questions and answers are down in the bottom, and they're real small, and I can't read them. So I unfortunately sometimes have to squint to see if I can read the questions that you may have down there. And if I can't see them, most of the time I can't, so I just ignore them. And that's not the way I want to do my live shows. I want to make sure that I can see your questions, because that's the whole purpose of this. Sunday Live, we want to try to answer some questions. And I also have some information over here for myself in case I need it. Let me close this. I don't need this now. I don't need this. So the live stream is working. I can see it, verifying it. Verify the audio one more time. Verify the audio one more time. Verify the audio one more time. Okay, so the audio sounds good. I'm using one of these new mics. Now, I've always tried these wireless mics, and in the past, I've always had problems with them, no matter how expensive, actually. You know, sometimes I would go to equipment rental facilities when I had a big shoot, and I would rent a high quality, highly rated wireless microphone system and test it out at home. And then inevitably, when I got to the shoot, there would be some kind of interference. Sometimes it would be radio interference. Sometimes it may be, I always thought maybe it was, you know, cell phone. I don't know. I didn't know. But I would always have some kind of interference with wireless microphones. And when you're on somebody's shoot, you don't want to have that problem. You know, so I was always a big proponent for going wired whenever I could. A direct connection into the equipment, a direct connection into the speaker system if you needed a PA system. So that was always my my go-to way to solve the problem. And then over the years, as new microphone systems were invented and the price dropped, I tried a few. I tried a few of the real low budget ones, and then I tried a few of the intermediate ones, and even some of the expensive ones. And I've actually even worked with other people who've owned them. And the response was iffy at best. So I never really jumped on the board that much of wireless. But I was just at this facility where I've been filming for the past month, and the owner had a wireless microphone, and so he offered it to me to try it out, and it was one of the cheap wireless setups for a cell phone. Now, the thing about the cell phone, one of the reasons I was drawn to it, because I enjoy doing my live streams like I'm doing them right now over with my cell phone. And the reason I do that is because I have the ability to move that camera wherever I want. And that's something that I like. I don't like being, when I'm doing a production, or, you know, even if it's a streaming, even if it's a web conference, I don't like being restricted to the camera built into the laptop, or even the camera, or even the camera, the streaming camera that comes and you can put that on your computer monitor. Now, you do have some ability to move that around. And what I did also, we have a setup that my wife uses, and I had originally put we bought a really high quality web streaming camera for the computer, and I even put that on a little teeny desktop tripod so that we could move it around a bit. But she likes it up on top of the monitor, so I just leave it there. But I always don't like being pinned down. Now with this one right here, I can move this if I want to, if I need to move it over here or something like that, or if I need to pivot, so I can show you guys my, let's loosen it up. I just realized I couldn't pivot. I don't want to pivot that way, but let's tighten this up some. I can pivot. I can loosen this up if I loosen it. Yeah, I can loosen this up. I can pivot over here and show you my computer. So I like doing that. I do a lot of, and as you guys probably know, you've probably seen me on the vertical live streams. I do a lot of vertical live streams, and I really like the ability, and it's something that I find that's really works for me, is having that ability to move the camera wherever I need to move it. Like right now, I want to push it back a little bit. So I pushed it back. I don't have to move myself. I like that better. So that's how I normally do it. So here you can see a little bit more. This is my little editing corner. My wife and I, we have an office here downstairs in our home, and she has her desk over there. I have my desk, my little editing setup over here. I used to have our garage converted into a full editing suite. I had a green screen in there. I would build sets, little teeny sets in there when I had to do tight shots for any project I was working on. I've shot all kinds of, I've built all kinds of sets, and I used to shoot them in my garage office. So that was, we turned that into an apartment though. So I no longer have access to it. But those were the good old days. I did all kinds of shooting in there. Sometimes I would even take all my equipment out if I needed to make the garage an apartment, and I would set up whatever I needed to set up. We had little living rooms in there. We've even had a little bar in there. I had a Old West little bedroom set up in there one time. We had all kinds of stuff set up in there. So that was great. I even had a green screen. So with the green screen, I turned the whole back wall at one point into a green screen. And then I was able to shoot anything I want back there with that green screen. All tight shots though. No big, wide green screen shots. But it was really a good resource. The only downside to it was that the garage is under a big oak tree in my backyard. And the oak tree, during the season of it, the oak tree drops these acorns on the roof. So I used to do a show for a local newspaper. We used to do a web show, and they would do a weekly broadcast. And so the host would come up, we'd shoot it in my green screen set here in my office in the back. And then every once in a while, you'll hear an acorn hit the roof. So it'd be like, beep, beep. That was a big drawback from it. We, like I said, we eventually turned it into an apartment. So I no longer have access to that. But now I'm here, right here in my home. I have my little setup over here. And the beauty of it, originally I had a bigger setup. Upstairs. We have another room upstairs that I would use for my office. And so I had a bigger setup. And those are the days when I had my my big Mac. I'm originally a Mac editor, and I really want to get back to it. Right now, I've been editing on a really powerful PC that I bought a number of years ago. And I'm always wondering if this PC is at the end of its life. Let me check on the time, what I have here. Oh, okay. I'm getting close to my start time. I want to start right on time, even if no one's here yet. So we're going to get our first official Sunday live show off the ground. I'll be right back. Okay, trying to get myself together. Let's see what we have here. 5 minutes. I want to start right at noon. So I plan to start right on time. What I had planned to talk about I have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. And the main purpose though, again, the main purpose is I have stuff to talk about, but as soon as I get questions in from you guys, we're going to go right to the questions, because that's the main purpose of this show, will be for me to answer any of your questions on acting, directing, or editing. So any of your questions that you have on that, that's what I'm here to answer. That's what I know. So I've been doing this for like 35 years, 40 years. I've been editing making independent films for about 40 years now. So started in college. One of the first films, well, no, there was another film I made. I was about to tell you about this film I made in college, but that wasn't actually my first film. My first film was a short film called Greasy Blues, and I shot that at college. I went to college at Morgan State University in Maryland, and that was my very first independent film, Greasy Blues. And we shot that in the communications building. They had a stage downstairs where the cameras were, and it was an area where you could build little sets. So that's what I did. I built a little set down there. It was a low-end diner set that I built. We had some props there. We had some curtains. So I was able to utilize the props we had in the college prop room and to put together a little set, a little table in the corner. And there was two characters, two bad guys staking out a building across the street, and they could see it from the restaurant. So there was a window next to their table, and they could peek out the window. And what I did was I had shot some B-roll of a downtown Baltimore location, and that's what I used. Every time he would peek out the window, he'd pull the curtain back, and I'd cut to a POV shot of the guy looking out the window. Let me make sure that my time is here. Yep, 11:58. So I'm gonna sit here so I can do a formal opening. Well, it's not gonna be a big deal, but just a formal opening and welcome you guys to where's my time at here? Oh, I'm running my, it looks like, oh no, this says scheduled for, no, I'm running, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong time here. Do I have two occurrences of the streamer up? Let's see. Oh, I did. I had two occurrences of YouTube Studio open, I think. Yeah, that was throwing me. But my time, let me check my timetable here. Want to make sure I'm 11:58 a.m. That's what my computer is saying. There's a different time here. Oh, this is some scheduled time. I don't know what that is, but I am going public right now, live. Been going public for almost 18 minutes. So yes, I'm about to start any moment now. Let's see what we got here. 11:59. Okay, so I am going to wait until exactly noon, and I will get started. That's why I made sure I did my pre-check, because I did run into some small problems this morning. And again, you never know. You never know when they're going to hit you. And so it's best to be prepared and try it out before you start streaming. And I didn't have to sweat, didn't have to panic. I was able to troubleshoot all my issues, and I'm just killing time right now. As soon as it hits noon, okay? I don't have a floor manager. Normally the floor manager gives you that cue. So I'm going to give myself that cue. I'm looking at, okay, let's see. We're going to sit for a moment. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the first episode of Sunday Live. Thank you for joining me. Sunday Live, yes. So on this show, my name, James Adam Tucker, and what I plan to do every Sunday, and I'm going to do it also, I'm planning to do it even if I'm away. So the great thing about live streaming, I usually live stream on my phone right here, and so I can do this anywhere. So unless there's an emergency or some reason I can't join you on a Sunday at noon, I will be here. And what I want to do here is answer your questions. Any questions related to acting, directing, or editing. Now, I've been doing this for over 35 years, and I've also been a teacher of acting. I've been a teacher of directing and editing, filmmaking, all around filmmaking. So I've taught on all different levels. Middle school, I've taught high school, I've taught college out at UCLA, and I've taught at a number of adult programs around here in Southern California. So I have a lot of experience teaching. I've studied some of the qualifications for a teacher so that I would be a better teacher. But the thing that makes me more qualified and makes me confident to teach is that I've been doing this for so long. And I've learned a lot of stuff the hard way. making mistakes. When someone says they've learned stuff the hard way, mostly that's what they mean, that they've made mistakes and they've found ways to correct those mistakes. And then as a teacher, especially a good teacher, you want to share your mistakes with your students so that they don't have to make the same mistakes you made. Sometimes it's good to learn the hard way, especially if you're the kind of person who only likes to do stuff their own way and you don't want to follow whatever the specified rules are to do stuff. And I know a lot of people like to be different. They like to decide, okay, I'm going to do this my way. I'm creative. I'm, this is my style. This is going to be my look. This is going to be the reason people like my work. And all that's true. All that's true. But I always tell students, no matter what you're learning in the creative arts, you need to learn the basics first, then break the rules. Learn the basics, then break the rules. That's what makes people creative. That's what makes people special. That's what makes people stand out. You know the basics, and then you say, okay, this is how they normally do it. How would I do it? I have an idea that's going to make this look a little bit better. That's going to make this look a little more interesting. But again, you learn the basics, and you don't have to stick with them. You don't have to stick with them. And that's the beauty of art. That's what makes your art stand out from someone else's. You don't want to just, and the truth of it is, you don't want to just stick with the basics. You don't just want to stick with what everyone else does. And, you don't want to just stick with the traditional ways that everyone, for instance, to play piano. You want to learn the keys. You want to learn what the white keys, the black keys. You want to learn, and it's good to learn to read music. You want to learn, when do you go up this octave? When do you go down this octave? What these notes mean, what that note means. When do you hit the black key? When do you hit the white key? You want to learn all the basic stuff, the numbers of your fingers corresponding to the keys. You learn all of that. And then you add your creativity on top of it. That's the best way to do it. As a matter of fact, when I start talking about acting, a nephew of mine, and this was a number of years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, I guess, he called my wife and they were having a conversation on the phone. He was in college for some other study, some other curriculum, and he wasn't enjoying it. And my wife asked him, what do you really want to do? What career do you really want? And he told her that he was interested in acting. But in his family, most people and relatives who were successful were in normal, traditional jobs. And they wanted their kids to follow in normal, traditional, safe, secure jobs also. And you get that a lot in families. Any kind of creative field where you're going to work and that's going to be your career, it's a risk. And you have to know that going into it. So he knew I was an actor. So he asked my wife, he said, could you ask Uncle what acting program does he think is the best? So he lived in New York City. So he so happened to live near one of the best programs, the Actors Studio in New York City. I forgot exactly. I think it's in Manhattan. I forgot exactly where it is right now. But that's one of the best programs there is. It's the Method program, and it's been around for, I don't know, probably close to 60, 70 years or something like that, probably more than that. And so I told him, if you want to go to a program and you want to take it seriously, check them out. Look into it. It's probably going to be expensive, but if you go there and you learn what they have to offer and you really apply yourself, I'm confident that you can make it in this business. And he did. He went there. He did really great at the program. It was expensive, but he figured out how to pay it, help from his family, and they figured out how to pay it. And now he's a working actor, working alongside A-list actors. That won't happen for everybody. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you need to learn the basics. That's why I'm talking about this. He went there. He learned all the basic techniques of acting. He took it seriously. He didn't just wake up one morning and say, like a lot of people do, oh, I'm going to be an actor. And I'm going to get some headshots and resume and I'm going to go out and do it. There's honestly, there is something wrong with that. Again, you need to learn the basics so that you can have a long-term, substantial, sustainable career. If you look at any of the really successful actors who've been in the business for a long time, they studied before they went out there and got into the business. And they continue to study. That's another thing I tell young actors, that, they'll go to some classes, and maybe they'll go to some classes, some good classes for a couple of years, but then they'll stop. If you look at any kind of creative endeavor that someone may be pursuing as a career, they continue to work at it. They continue to develop. They continue to make themselves better. That's one thing that a lot of actors don't do. You may have some success, and then that's one of the weak parts. I think I have to admit, one of the weak parts for me. You know, once I did my studying in college, I went to a few classes once I moved out to California, but I should have continued to improve myself. I should have continued to improve my ability. And so that's why I make sure anybody I teach, I tell them how important that is. And I make this analogy. Look at some of the greatest athletes that you know, be it football, soccer, baseball, whatever. What do they always do? They continue to train. These are the top cream of the crop athletes, professionals, being paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. But what do they continue to do? They continue to practice. They continue to work at their skill. They continue to stay in shape. Their body is their instrument. Same thing with an actor. You need to continue to work at your skill and make yourself better, because your body is your instrument. And you can always get better. You can always stay sharp. One thing that I do to stay sharp is that I, from time to time, work on small projects. As a union actor, you're not supposed to do non-union projects, but sometimes I'll volunteer for student films. The last film I did was a while ago. Last student film I did was a while ago, but I like to work with some of the big schools like UCLA or USC. My daughter's a graduate from USC, so I like to go there and work with some of their film students. Their film program is one of the best, and I like to go and offer my services, because what that does, that gives me practice in a real environment with people who are taking it seriously and they're going to finish the production, as opposed to sometimes I do work on independent films. Like if a good part comes along and I find out about it, I might submit myself for an independent project, and sometimes those projects aren't completed, and that's frustrating. But again, that's not the main point. The point is to keep practicing, keep yourself fresh. Like a matter of fact, right now, I have an audition that I plan to do, a self-tape, they're called. These days, you don't get to go into the office as much as you did when I first started this business. Once I was out here in California, I had a lot of, we started with a lot of in-person auditions, and that's all there was. You'd go, I'll tell you a little bit, since I have time now, I'll tell you a little bit about that, how the audition process used to be, so that you can see how far it's come. I would get a call from my agent or my manager. Back then, it was just my agent. I didn't have a manager back then. I'd get a call from my agent, and they would say they want to see you for this role. And it's on a television show, union, SAG, all the good stuff. So the first step would be you have to get the sides. And the sides are the part of the script that you will be reading during your audition. So in those days, we would go either pick it up in person or they could fax it over. And then once you had the sides, you would, study them, work on them, try to learn them the best you could, bring the character to life, show the best of you. And then once you were ready, well, now, even if you weren't ready, you would go to the audition at the allotted time. So you'd go to the studio and you'd go there and you'd sign in. And sometimes they may have changes. They may have different sides they want you to read off, which really sometimes could throw you a bit, but that's part of the business. They want you to be prepared, and they want you to be able to get prepared if things change. So you'd read your sides, and then you'd go into the room, and usually on the first call, it would be the assistant and the casting director. And the assistant would probably be videotaping you so that they could show it to the producers. So you'd go in, and it'd just be you, the casting director, and the casting director's assistant. And then you would tape it, and then you would say, thanks for seeing me, and then you would leave. And sometimes they would give you feedback. They would give you, the casting director may say, okay, I like that, but try it this way. This director likes to see people who speak slower, or they want you to speak more. They want you to speak more as a leader, or they want you to speak more, whatever the note was. They might give you a note, and then you'd have to make that adjustment. As an actor, that's part of your skill set, is when you get an adjustment from a casting director, you don't argue. You don't say, oh, I see the character this way, and this is the way I think he should be done. No. You don't want to see that. And sometimes they're giving you that adjustment to see if you're that kind of actor who's going to argue, because they don't want that. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for actors who are easy to work with, who can do the job, who are believable, and who are professional. So if they give you an adjustment, you make that adjustment. And I always tell actors, you don't have to throw away everything that you prepared, but you add that adjustment on the top of whatever you prepared. So you have that adjustment layered on top. That's the icing, because you want the casting director to see that, yes, he can take direction, and yes, he can make those adjustments. So you make the adjustment and you do the scene again. And sometimes, and if they tape it, great. And sometimes you'll get a casting director who's even more helpful. They may give you more suggestions, or more, if they really like you, if they think you're a right fit, then they'll spend a little bit more time with you. So I've had it both ways. I've had it when I went in the room and I did my line and they said, okay, thank you, thanks for coming. And then sometimes you'll go in and they'll set it up for you. They'll set the scene. They'll tell you who the scene is. They'll tell you a little bit about the show and the character. So it all depends on the casting director. It all depends on also how much time they have and how many people they're seeing. Because if they're seeing a lot of people and the waiting room is filled with actors that look just like you, then they're probably going to see a lot of actors and they don't have as much time as they normally would to spend a lot of time with each actor. So in that case, you would just go in, do your scene and leave. But if they have the time, they would give you more direction. So I used to like that. I like in-person. I like in-person casting, because the casting director, depending on the casting director, they may talk to you a bit. Well, tell me about yourself. How long have you been in the business? What have you worked on lately? So you'll get those opportunities sometimes where they'll want to chit chat a little bit, or they'll want to just share what's going on with them, or they want to find out a little bit about what's going on with you. So you never know. Sometimes when they were real talkative and I was young and I was new, that would throw me a bit, because I was prepared to come in and I was focused, prepared to come in and just deliver my character. But you have to be able to go with the flow. You have to be able to read the room. If the casting director wants to chit chat a bit, then you relax and you chit chat a bit. And then you take that moment before, when she says, okay, are you ready? Then you tell her, yes. You take a beat. If you want to tilt your head over slightly for a moment, then you say, yes, I'm ready. And then you go into the scene. And that just brings up something too that I love to talk about, which is really pertinent to me, because after I finish up with you guys today, I'm doing my self-tape. I think I mentioned that earlier. I'm doing my self-tape for a pretty good sized role for an independent film that I'll be shooting outside of California. And I'm excited, because the great thing about this script is that the character is a fit for who I really am. And you can't be luckier as an actor when you're new, or you're like me and you're a character actor, and you go out for a lot of different roles. It's not like you have a series or you play the same character in every film like a lot of actors do. They know the character. The casting people know them. The director and the producer are bringing them in because they like the character you play, and that's what they want you to play. So that's another avenue that I'll do a video on one day about being a character. But anyway, I'm a character actor, so I go out for a lot of different roles, and I'm always lucky when I go out for a role and the role fits me exactly. Let me grab a sip of water here. I'm doing a lot of talking. Excuse me. So yeah, just to let you know, if any questions come in, I'm going to stop what I'm talking about and go straight to the questions. So again, this is our first day of Sunday Live with me, James Adam Tucker. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have about acting, directing, and editing. And feel free to jump on. I did some advertising of this last week, and I will use this first video to advertise again this week for next week. So again, like I said, I'm going to be doing these Sundays at noon, California time. And I guess once people find out about it, some people start stopping in, asking me questions, we'll go on. But other than that, I always have stuff to talk about. And I always try to talk about stuff that can help you in one of the categories that I know about: acting, directing, or editing. So let me go on with the story about casting. So once the casting director decides that they like you and they want to talk a little bit more, then you never know what they're going to ask you. Tell me about yourself. where are you from? Where are you originally from? So they may ask you any kind of questions. And the reason they're asking these questions, some can be friendly, some people, and that's another thing. They're just regular people, just like you and I. Sometimes the actors get so nervous that they forget that these people the casting people are doing their job. Their job is to find the best talent that they can put in front of the producers and the directors. And they want you to be a real person. They want you to be relaxed. They want you to be the kind of person that the producer and director can talk to. Because people in this business, and any business, especially in this business though, they want to work with people who they can feel comfortable around, who they can have something in common with. If you're right for the role and you understand the process and you also enjoy what you do as an actor, then it's going to be pleasant working with you. And that's what they all want. I've been on the other side of the table many times. I've directed over 25 independent feature films. And I've been on the other side of that table, casting people. And the secret is that as a new actor, the secret is, if you don't take anything away from this today, the secret is that the casting people want you to be good. And the reason they want you to be good is so they will have a number of good people that they can offer to the director and the producer. That's their job. Get us good people. Don't bring us people who are too nervous to talk. Don't bring us people who can't remember the lines. Don't bring us people who aren't believable. Don't bring us people who have an attitude or a chip on their shoulder. That's something too that every time I say it, every time I bring it up, I can't get my mind around it. There are a lot of actors who come to productions with a chip on their shoulder that they think maybe it is that they think that they're above auditioning, or maybe they've done a few things in the past, so they think that there's no need for them to audition, that their talent should speak for itself. Ultimately, if you last in this business and you do good work, you'll get to that point. But that's not something that comes at the beginning. And that's what all my content here on YouTube is for, beginning and new actors, or even actors who have been doing it for a few years and just need to freshen up, just need to hear the things they know over again. And even me, been doing this for 35, 40 years. And sometimes it's good to just hear the basics over again, to get it in your mind of what the basics are, what this business is. And no matter how technology affects it, no matter how artificial intelligence affects it, this business is, and as long as they're using real actors, this business is going to stay basically the same. You're going to have to show the people who are making the decisions that you are the right person, that what you bring, which no one else can bring, is that unique ability that makes you you. And actors need to get that too. You need to get that as an actor. And the sooner you can learn it, the sooner your confidence is going to go way up. Because if you are delivering the best of your personality and the best of your content that you can get out with their lines, that you can deliver, you're going to be unique. No one else is going to come and deliver it your way. No one else is going to come and do it exactly like you did it. So that's where the confidence in your talent comes in. And it builds slowly because everyone's nervous. Everyone gets nervous, even old timers like me. When I do a role and you're exactly right for it and the stakes are high and you're putting undue pressure on yourself, you always have to remind yourself, do your best. Show them the best of you. Show them what you bring to the table. Show them what only you can deliver. And if it's what they want, you got it. You got what they want. And if it's not, it's just someone else. Again, there's no guarantees in this business. There's no guarantees. You'll hear the stories of people who made it overnight, who one day were checkers at Walmart, and the next day they had a lead role in a feature film. That does happen. But same way happens when people hit the lottery. You hear the stories when someone hits the $1 billion, multi-million-dollar, 500,000, 2 million, $10 million lottery. Yeah, it happens, but it doesn't happen every day. And it's not something you can count on. It's not something you can plan for. It's not something you can maneuver your way through and I'll hit that $1 million lottery. It doesn't work like that. And the same thing with acting. You have to prepare. And you have to believe in yourself and your ability that you can deliver the role. And you have to have that confidence. You have to have that confidence in your talent. And it comes with working. It comes with doing it. It comes with doing it and doing it well and building up your confidence that, yes, I can do this. There's nothing standing in my way. This is who I play. This is my talent. And this is what I can deliver for your production. And if they want it, they take it. If they don't, thank you. And you go on to the next project. You look for the next project. You prepare for the next project. And that's what I even have to remind myself. Like this one I told you, after today, later today, I'll be doing an audition for a role that I would love to have. A small role, 3-day shoot, out of state, union project. And I'm a great fit for it. And I have to realize that what I have to do is show them who I am, how I can deliver the role, and why I'll be the right choice. And that's the best I can do. Show them the best of you. You can't read their mind and decide and think, okay, what do they want? How do they want this? How do they want that? Another secret is the casting people don't know. The director really doesn't know. The producer really doesn't know. They don't know who they want until they see it. Listen to this again. No matter how much they say, in their mind, they may have written this for a specific character. They may have written this for a specific type. They may have written this for an A-list actor, and they can't get that A-list actor. The actor's not available, or they don't have the production budget available to get that A-list actor. So they won't know who they want in that role until they see you. They see your talent. They see the best of you. They see what you bring to the role and what you bring to the table. And they say, hey, he was good. Or hey, she was good. Or was she better than that last person? Or was she better than that woman we saw before? And that's when it starts coming down. Because as they start seeing good people, they start comparing those good people to each other. And each person is unique. Each person is unique. No one will exactly be you. And you have to build your confidence and say, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to show them what I can do. And they're going to like me. And you have to believe it. And that will make you confident. That will make you believe in yourself. That will make you believe in your talent. And that's what you have to do. Because if you don't believe in it, the casting director is not going to believe in it. The producer's not going to believe in it. The director's not going to believe in it. And ultimately, the audience won't believe you. So you have to practice. You have to work at it. You have to do scenes. You have to read monologues. Do them in the mirror. Do them on your cell phone. Play them back. Look at the content. Am I believable? Am I real? Do I seem like I really am this character? You know, so that's what you have to do. And again, ultimately, you have to accept that what I'm going to show them is me. And all I'm going to show them is the best of me, because that's all you have to offer. You know, you learn, as a matter of fact, let me talk about myself for a minute. I've been working on this role. I've known about it for maybe a little over 2 days. So when I first got it, I'll tell you my process. I did it in another video, but I'll tell it again here. When I first received the role, it was early morning. I woke up, I checked my email, I looked at it, I said, oh, I got a message from my manager. And I said, oh, okay, great. Looked at it, saw what the role was, saw the age range, saw the race, saw a little bit about the character's background. Sometimes they have a little summary that tells a little bit about the character. And then also I read the summary of the film storyline, or like the log line, a little bit longer than a log line, maybe a 2-sentence summary of the film on the breakdown sheet. So then later on that day, once I was able to have access to my email on my computer, I created a folder, named it about the project, and I downloaded all the content that was sent to me about this audition. So I went on Actors Access. I downloaded the audition sides, which is the part of the script that I'll be using for the audition. And then I downloaded the breakdown sheet. The breakdown sheet is what's sent out to your agent or your manager, and it talks about the roles that they have available. It talks about the characters. It talks a little bit about the script. It talks about where they're shooting, who the producers, directors, editors, who everybody is involved in the project, and has all that information. So I went through, I downloaded that, and then I even downloaded the breakdown sheet that comes directly from my agent and my manager. So you gather all the information together and you read through it and you pay attention to the details. That's something I always have to tell myself too. Pay attention to the details. So once I did that, then I opened up the script and I started to read the script. One thing I do, sometimes I'll scan real quick and I'll see what scenes my character are in. And then I will go back and read everything. Sometimes they'll leave parts of the script. It might be crossed out, but you can still read it, which gives you information about the story. And the more information you know about the scenes you're going to be in, the stronger position you are as an actor. Because the more you know about the role and the character, the better you can help, the better you can bring that character to life. Or you can bring the elements from that character. In my condition, which is a great position to be in, I can bring more elements of that character that really fit my personality into the role. So that was a good thing. I saw that the character, from what I read, I could tell that the character had a lot of the same mindset and feelings that I do. So that makes it easier for me. Right there, I can morph that character's background into mine. And that is an advantage. That is an advantage that you have. If you have something if you really in real world life have something in combination with the character, that gives you some steps above the other actors. So again, I was happy to see that. And then I started working on the dialogue. What I do when I work on the dialogue, I will take, now most of the time the dialogue is in a PDF file. The sides are PDF file taken out of the script. So I will take that content, and sometimes I have to manually type it out, or sometimes nowadays I use text to voice to text, and I read out the lines, and then I put it into a format in a Word document that I feel comfortable with, so I can see my lines, and I make my lines prominent. I put them on bold or highlight them or whatever I do to make them prominent, and then that way, when I'm working on the lines, I can see mine right away. And it's kind of like once you start learning the lines and once you become more familiar with it, you can just look at the whole line, and that's going to prompt you to remember what your dialogue is there. So that's one of my little techniques, a little technique that I use. You can use that if you want. Try to figure out pulling the text from the original document. Make sure you get everything. Pulling the text from the original document and putting it in your own format, whatever format is easier for you. Because when you're rehearsing, that's up to you. Whatever helps you learn the character better, whatever helps you learn the dialogue best, whatever technique you develop for yourself, and develop some technique for yourself and start using it and become comfortable with it. So I've had this technique for over 20 years that I use when I learn dialogue for an audition. So I've been working on it, and I worked on it a little bit this morning before I got on here with you guys, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. And not just the lines, though. You have to start thinking about why the character is saying these lines. What is he trying to accomplish in this scene? And it may not be a big, grandiose trying to save the world or trying to change somebody's opinion of something. It may be just revealing elements of himself. That's what he's doing in this scene. That's what he's trying to accomplish. That is the goal for this character in this scene. So you need to start thinking about that too. That in that context also, not just the words, because they didn't give you the scene just to do a test to see if you can read or not, and you're just pronouncing the words back to them. They want to see how you would bring this character to life. How would this James Adam Tucker, how is he going to bring this character to life? And so what I've decided with this character is a lot like me. He has a lot of the backstory that I naturally have. So it's a science fiction project and it's based in the future, but I can easily mold my personality into these feelings, into this imaginary circumstance, because that's another key too. The actor's job is to bring life to this imaginary circumstance. Breathe reality, breathe life, into this imaginary circumstance and live truthfully in this imaginary circumstance. So that's something that's always in the back of your mind as an actor. And that's something from the basics. Remember what I said earlier, learn the basics, learn the basics. That's something, that's one of the basics from, one of the basics of acting from the method technique. I'm not going to get into that because that's where, for you guys to go online and find acting techniques. Find one that sticks to you. There are a number of acting techniques out there. Find one that resonates with you. No one can pick it for you. No one can pick it for you. You need to learn. That's why you need to learn a bit about all of them. Do a Google search for the popular acting techniques and get, log line descriptions of what they are, and find one that resonates with you. And so the method resonates with me. I think the method resonates with me more because as a child, I always had a great imagination, and I would play with G.I. Joes, and that was one of my big toys. And as an adult, I can look back and see what I was doing with those G.I. Joes. I was creating scenes. I was creating short films. I was creating stories. My stories had a beginning, middle, and end. Before I even knew about any of that, that was how I played. We didn't have all the fancy, and I'm thankful. We didn't have all the computer-generated video games nowadays where the imagination is handled already. The imagination, you're playing with someone else's imagination on those video games. You're not playing with your own imagination. Those games have a limit. Those games have a barrier. Those games have a world. When you create, as a child, when you create your own world, your own script, your own story, your own universe, that's where imagination is strong. That's where imagination is powerful. That's where the actor lives. Imaginary circumstances, bringing those imaginary circumstances to life. And I think that's why the method really fit me and really stuck with me. I was using it ever since I was a little boy, and I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know it existed. I had no idea of being an actor. I didn't come to the realization that I wanted to be an actor until I graduated high school. But all my life, I had that imagination. I had that actor's imagination. I had that storytelling ability, and I used it with my friends. I used it with my family. I used to tell stories, make up stories, just imagination. And that's still, lucky for me, that's still what I do now when I get the opportunity to act. And that's why I love it so much. That's why I stuck with it. And that's why I continue to stick with it, because it allows me to live the life that I enjoy, to play as an adult, but bring characters to life in that play. That's why sometimes when I see actors who are successful and don't realize how lucky they are to be in this field and to be successful in this field and to do something that they supposedly or at the beginning enjoyed. And it's an opportunity that everyone doesn't get. Even if you really want it, everyone doesn't get it. That's something else that I always say. I don't want to be a downer. I don't want to say that I hate being a downer, but I love to tell the truth. That's one thing I always do on this channel. That's one reason I started the channel. That's why I called it unedited, because I like to say things that people don't normally say. You'll have a lot of people on YouTube and, talk about all the great parts about doing some kind of creative career. But there is a side where possibly your parents were right. You should go to school and be a lawyer. You should go in school and be a dentist. You should go to school to be a doctor. You should go to school to be a technical school and become a plumber, become an electrician, join the family business. Maybe they might be right. And unfortunately, you won't know until you give it a try. And I wouldn't change my life. I wouldn't change my choices of getting into this career, because I had a kind of a different background than a lot of actors. I went to school for production, radio, television, film production. And so I had that production background, and that was unknown to me. That was my fallback possibility. And production skills and video is what allowed me to live my life while I pursued acting. So I had a great sweet spot. I didn't have to wait tables or drive a cab. So I had that skill that I was able to use to make money. And so I did that. But a lot of times, you're in this creative world and there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. And I like to tell people that up front. But I do talk about all the joys and the wonderness of it and being in this business and being able to create and being able to play and to use that imagination and get paid to do it. And you have that ability to, if you're lucky enough, to get up there in the A-list of actors, to be the first on the call sheet. So there's nothing in your way. There's no real roadblock except for you. There's nothing that can stop you from doing this, giving this a try. I'm not saying you're going to make it all the way to the tip top. Very few do. And I like people to know that. I like that to be something that I say. And I always come back to saying that because I don't like people thinking that, it's going to be all sunshine and roses, because being in the entertainment field, being in any kind of creative field where you're entertaining people, be it sports, music, whatever, I always have sitting near me my cup of hot water. I do drink coffee, but when I'm talking, and most of the days I drink, I don't want to overdo it on coffee. Sometimes I have a tendency to do too much, and I start getting like Kramer on Seinfeld. But so again, I always will, as you watch my videos and as I create videos, I'm going to talk about the good part. I'm going to talk about the education. I'm going to talk about improving yourself. I'm going to talk about how this field, to me, is the best field that anybody could aspire to be in. And again, but I'm always going to say this: the lucky few are the ones who make it to the top, because you're going to need an aspect of luck. You're going to have to be prepared. You're going to have to make yourself prepared. That's why I said at the very beginning of this stream, learn the basics. Learn those basics. Study. Find out what people have done before you. You need to learn. There's so much knowledge out there. I know people don't read books as much as they used to, but actors, you need to read. You need to read. And you got no excuses, because now with Amazon, you can get some of the books that I paid $60, $70, $80, $90 for $5, $6, $7. Amazon sells used books. And that's a video I haven't done yet. I'm going to do a series on that. Some of the best acting books. I'm going to just do, short little videos talking about books that I've read that helped me in my career. And these are old books. Some of these books were printed before I even got into the business. That was years ago. Told you I've been doing this 35, 40 years. So some of the books are old, but there's some of the best. There's some of the best. And there's a lot of acting books out there, and you need to start reading some of them. And it's easy to find them. You don't have to wait for me. You can do a Google search for the best acting books, and then go on Amazon and little by little start getting some. There's knowledge in each and every one of them. Sometimes you can find some of that knowledge on the internet, but it's better to read it from, as they say, the horse's mouth. You read it from the book written by the author. And it's great. You want to gain that knowledge. You want to have as much knowledge as you can. You want to watch some old films. You want to watch some of the classics. That's another video I might want to make one day. What films should every actor see? A list of that. Some of the classics. You're in this business, you want to take it seriously. You want to learn what people in this business know, so that when you're around people, you can talk educated. Yes, I've seen this movie, I've seen that movie. You want to learn from the great things that people did in the past. Don't be one of those people who say, "Oh, that's old. I don't want to know anything about that. I have my own way of doing things." Like I said, learn the basics and then go forward and create the new way to do it, your way. But know something about the past. Know something about where all of this came from. Don't just think you can go along in your career and don't know anything about any of the history of this business that you're supposed to be working in, that you're supposed to be interested in, that you've made a career out of, that you think is important. You need to know some of where their skills and talent came from, people that came before you. Look into some of the old actors, look into some of the old actresses, learn as much as you can. Learn. That's one thing I'm always a big believer in. And it's only going to make you better. It's only going to make you more of a well-rounded, interesting character when you bring a character to life. Another thing I like to say too is that the work you do now that's not related in this field is valuable too, because that's where an actor draws his ability to bring characters to life from the real world. Look at some of the people around you. Look at some of the people in the jobs that you may be working in. Everybody has something that is potentially interesting, or something that could be potentially a character or element of something that you could use one day in your developing of a character, in your acting ability. So observe, be observant. Be observant of the world around you, of the people around you. Listen how people talk. Here's a quick little story. This was years ago, back in college. I was cast in a play where I had to have a Nigerian accent. And this was way before the internet. We didn't have any internet back then, so I wasn't able to just type in a Google search for YouTube to show me some Nigerian accents. So luckily for me, I had a student in one of the classes I was attending. I think it was a science class. And he always asked questions, long, drawn out questions. So it hit me. I would start bringing my micro cassette recorder to class. And whenever he piped up to ask questions, I would tape him. And I could learn his accent. I could study his accent. And that's how I learned my Nigerian accent. And I did it in the play. And then for me, it happened really, it was a big surprise, because once I moved to Los Angeles after college, a few years later, I had that accent, and I always practiced it on and off. And then I got called in to play a Nigerian student on one of these fake reality shows they used to have back in the end of the 80s. I forgot the name of it right now, but it was like the same guy that produces some of the big time Hollywood reality shows now. This was one of his first shows, and it was called Superior Court. And it was a fake court show. Everybody was actors, but they would reenact cases, but they would do it as scenes, and it was called Superior Court. And I played a Nigerian student who wanted to get married to an American woman, and he was being brought into court because they thought he was doing a fake marriage, and so that he could just stay in America. But anyway, my accent that I had studied in college helped me get that role. I remember I was in the casting room, and it was probably like 1 second. Let me check my time. How I'm doing here. Oh, good. Okay, got about 15 minutes left on the stream, and I was in the audition room, and it was one of the biggest audition rooms I had been in up to that point. There was probably could have been almost 10 people in that room. And my role was one of the lead roles. So they had a lot of people, and they wanted everybody to pipe in on their opinion, after the audition session. So soon as I started speaking and I did that Nigerian acting, I did that Nigerian accent, one of the casting directors sitting to my right across from me, she started smiling and giggling and holding her mouth so she wouldn't laugh out loud. And I could tell it was joy, because they loved my accent, and I had the right look. I was still young. I was fresh out of college. So I had the right look as a college student, and or somebody my age just out of college. And I got the role. And I could tell by their feedback, once it was over with, they said, "Oh, okay, thank you. That was great. That was really great." They clapped. And then when I walked out of there, I was walking on cloud 9, because I knew, sometimes when you're in that situation and you're in the room, you know it. It's not something that's said. It's by people's reactions. And that's why I miss being in the casting room, because you can tell. You can tell. And it's a good feeling. And I walked out, and then the next day, I think my agent called and said, you got the role. And, we did some rehearsals and da-da-da-da. But it was that accent, obviously, that got me the role. And it was something that I had worked on and something that I had kept. And I still have it to this day. I still use it. A lot of times I'll get roles if you go to my channel, you can see me doing that accent. You'll go to my channel and go to IMDb. You can see some of my past work, and you can see me doing that accent on some of the productions I've done it in over the years. And I still have it. I still use it. And from time to time, roles come up for that Nigerian accent. And the great thing about it is I can use it for, I can alter it slightly and make it Jamaican, any kind of accent like that. So again, learn the basics. Learn what came before you. Learn as much as you can. And again, I'm going to stress again, go on Amazon. Look up for a list of the best books for beginning actors. Look at that list and start reading it. Order one and read it. Order the next one and read it. It's only going to make you better. It's going to help you. It's going to make you understand what many people know as far as acting goes. Many people know as far as building a character. Many people know as far as being believable, being relatable, being likable. Even the bad guy, if you think about it, when you watch a television show, there's something about the character who's the bad guy that makes him good, that makes him interesting to watch. Most of the time, the bad guys don't think they're bad. They're doing it because it's something that they want. They have goals that they're trying to reach. They don't think they're evil unless it's some kind of, wacky comedy. But most of the characters are trying to get their goal, reach their goal. And if people are in the way, they get around them, go over them, go under them, go through them if they have to. But the bad guy mostly doesn't really think he's bad. And you as an actor, you don't play him as if he's bad. The old days, rubbing the hands together, That was the old style, silent film days. But you want to learn as much as you can about character development. You want to learn as much as you can about breaking down a script. You want to learn different techniques. Like I said, you want to learn all the techniques that are out there. And then once you find a technique that fits you the best, that's the technique that you stick with. And that's what I'm saying. You want to learn everything that's out there. You want to learn what people have developed over the years. You want to learn what other actors are using. And once you find the stuff that fits you the best, then that's how you develop your acting, your talent, your technique. And one thing I want to say too that a lot of people don't say. One thing I want to say too about that a lot of people don't say about developing an acting technique is that once you develop it, the technique is in the background. It's not something that you bring consciously to the set with you. It's something that's in the background. It's subtext. It's behind the words. It's under the words. It's under what you say. Just like, okay, think of a sports. Just like think of a sport. Sometimes the athletes will do sprints up and down, the football field, or they'll push stuff, or they'll climb ropes, or they'll use the rings, or they're working out in the gym. Those are the things that build the skills that are behind the talent when you see them on the football field, or you see them on the baseball field, or you see them, running the track. Those are the skills that are underneath. They're not thinking about that while they're running the race. They're not thinking about all that training while they're swinging the bat to hit the ball, or they're running to catch the football. They do that so that those skills are natural. Those skills are built in. Those skills are there when you need them. And here's an even more simple example. You remember back to when you didn't know how to drive a car. And for instance, maybe your mother or father were teaching you how to drive the car. And so one of the first things they maybe taught you was where the gas and the brake was, where the gear shift was to put the car into drive and to put the car into reverse. So as you continue to drive over the years and your skills developed, you didn't think about that anymore. You didn't think about when you get ready to go step on the brake, you don't think about where is the brake, or when you need to push the gas to go faster, you don't think about where's the gas pedal, or when you're sitting you're about to park and you need to parallel park and you know you want to back up, you don't think about, oh, I got to put the car in reverse. I got to check the mirror. I got to check the reverse mirror, the review mirror. You just do that naturally because that's where learning the basics comes in. I think that analogy is probably better than my sports analogy. And I just thought of something right now when I'm saying this to you guys. I'm going to start using that. Driving. Most people know how to drive. And if you understand driving, excuse me, need another sip of the water right here real quick. Excuse me. So yeah, that driving analogy I think is going to be a good one. So you learn the basics of driving. You read the driver's manual. You know about all the road signs. You know about warnings. You know about what to do if a fire engine is coming or an ambulance is coming or a police car is coming. You learn about, being courteous. You learn about doing the old manual signaling, left, right, stop. You learn everything. You learn how to adjust your review mirror. You learn how to adjust your side mirrors. You learn how to adjust your seat. You learn about wearing your seatbelt. You learn all the basics. And then once you get your driver's license and you've driven for 6 months, you don't think about that anymore. You don't think about it. It comes natural because you practiced. You learn the basics. Then you add all the other skills on top. Same thing with acting. You need to learn those basics. That's why I'm stressing again. Start reading. That's something you completely do alone. You don't have to, you can do it at your leisure. You don't have to get any scene partner. You don't have to, join any class. You don't have to go anywhere to do it. And even why I'm so old school about using books is because you don't even need to have your phone charged up. You don't need to even have your phone in your hand because if you have your phone in your hand, what are you going to do? You're trying to read something. You're going to go to Facebook. You're going to go to YouTube. You're going to go to, Instagram. You're going to get your phone is just built in with distractions. If you can go old school and read it on a book, I think you'll learn more. You'll pay more attention. And when you want to not look at it, you just put the book down and then go to your phone. But I think that's a habit that I do recommend to all students. Get those books, start reading. Make yourself a list. Number one, make yourself a list of the best acting books for beginners. And they're all years, they're all written from all years, and there's a whole bunch of books. And so you get yourself a book and you start reading it and you start learning what the basics are. And the more you know the basics, the more you're going to be a well-rounded actor. The more knowledge you have, the better you will be. Believe me, the more you know, knowledge is the key. Knowledge is the key. And this is not just in acting business. This is for any field you're in. Any field you're in. Even artificial intelligence, one of the most popular ones right now. I talked a little bit about that in some of my other videos. The great thing about that is there's so many ways that you can learn this right now. There's so many companies. All the companies who are popular now have free material so that you can learn the basics of artificial intelligence. Here on YouTube, hundreds of videos done that will explain it to you so that you can start to understand it. And then you find out the different flavors of it from different companies. Again, learning the basics. And then if you can use that in any field you're in, that's great. That's going to put you at the top of the list when people are looking for someone who knows about artificial intelligence. Because right now, there really are no big time explosion of programs where they can teach you what you need to know. This is wide open. You have to learn from the companies that are doing it, from the companies who are creating it, from the companies that are the innovators, from the companies that have brought this up and brought this out to us. So don't feel afraid of it. I'm getting on my little artificial intelligence bandwagon right now. It's not something to fear. It's not something to fear. It's the future. And even you as an actor, you need to know about it. Not to be afraid of it, not to think that they're going to use it to get rid of you. I could be wrong, but I don't think that artificial intelligence, no time soon, not in any of our lifetime, is going to completely erase the need for actors. I don't think that's going to happen. It might happen in the future, but I don't think that it's going to happen in any of our lifetimes. Anybody who's watching me now, I don't think it's going to happen in any of our lifetimes, because we as humans, we like to watch other humans in these stories. You know, you can look at the artificial intelligence stuff, and there's always something not right. There's always something too perfect. There's always something just a little different. They have a term for it. It's called the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley. So it's something that it's something that's a little off, where you can tell that this is not a real person. So again, I don't think we're going to be replaced that soon. All the fields that I work in, acting, directing, and editing, yeah, they can all be replaced by artificial intelligence. And it probably will happen one day. It probably will happen, where you'll go to the movie and the whole thing will be generated by computer, and there won't be any real actors in it. And that's a possibility, and that's probably going to happen, but it's not going to happen in our lifetime. And if this is a career, you know, acting, directing, or editing, if this is a career that you're interested in, I say go for it. And again, whenever I say go for it, I'm a kind of person who always talks about two sides of the coin. I want you to go into it with your eyes open, that any creative endeavor is not guaranteed. And nowadays I can say any endeavor almost is not guaranteed that you're going to make it. I've been reading the stories now online about so many college students graduating with all different kinds of degrees, not in the entertainment business. I'm talking about accountants, engineers, computer programmers, the ability to write code, you know, all those different computer languages, went to some of the best schools. And there's so many people who can't get work in their field. It's not guaranteed. That used to be something that was only known in the arts. You know, I've been in the arts my whole life, and that's something that was accepted. That was something that's why the parents said, no, don't become an actor. No, don't become a singer. No, don't become a dancer. No, don't become a football player or some kind of sport where you're just entertaining people, where your job is to amuse other people. You know, they would always try to shy their kids away from that. Not because they didn't want them to have fun, because they wanted them to have a secure life. They wanted them to be secure and be able to take care of themselves and provide for their families once they decide to have a family. But this is affecting everyone now. People graduating with degrees and can't get work. And this is not people with weird degrees. This is people with standard degrees that normally would have got jobs straight out of college. A lot of them aren't able to do it now. So they're kind of leaning over towards where we in the creative field have been forever. You know, you go to school, you study, and you get out, you study acting, you study drama, you study dance, you study movement, you study voice, and you get out, you can't get cast in anything. You can't get a job anywhere. So you're waiting tables. You're mopping floors. You're, you know, being a janitor until you could get a break. And now there's a lot of people in all kinds of fields in that same position. So the world is changing, but I don't think the irrational fear of AI is something that we should be that afraid of right now. Again, I think there could be a future on the horizon where all entertainment is created by AI, where no human even needs to write the prompt. Because AI, I've even asked AI myself, what is the best prompt that I should write so I can get the best result from you? I've even asked AI that. So I've asked AI to write the prompt that I should give them so that they could give me the best results. So the future is here. It's coming. It's building slowly. But I don't think we should decide, oh, I'm not going to try any creative endeavor because of AI. That's an irrational fear. I I see some of my fellow actors out there protesting that they want AI to stop so AI won't take over their voiceover jobs. You know, you can't fight the future. The future is coming. The future will get here. We can't stop it. It's just like, you know, I always go back to the days of when the car was invented and the horse and buggy. The horse and buggy manufacturers, they didn't want those cars coming, taking away their business. They were making characters. They were making stagecoaches. They were making these buggies and they were selling them all over the country. Great businesses, built up dynasties of their family. This was their business. People make the wheels. People make the seats. People fix them and repair them. And then all of a sudden, here comes this new thing that is a automobile, a horseless carriage. And they didn't want that. They were afraid that was going to lose jobs. It was going to take away jobs. It was going to end businesses. It was going to end careers. And it did. But new jobs came about. New careers came about. New businesses came about. And as advances hit, people learn to adapt. That's what we do. That's what makes us good. That's why we lasted so long. That's why we will continue to last, because we will find a way to adapt and continue to grow and live and survive. So don't fear, don't get in your corner and start shaking because AI is going to take away all my jobs and we're not going to be able to do anything. And, you know, there won't be a need for humans. We'll just sit home and get our guaranteed universal income. Who knows? Ultimately, that may come, but we're still going to find a way to live. We're still going to find a way to survive. We're going to still find a way to continue. So continue going, study, again, learn from the basics and move forward from there. Be creative. Be creative. And again, learn those basics and use that as your starting point. All right. So there we go. That was my first episode of Sunday Live, James Adam Tucker. I'll be back again next week, and I'm going to use this tape, this episode, to start marketing the upcoming one, which will be next Sunday at noon. And going to keep going forward, see what happens. You know, I want to build up an audience who comes here, asks questions. Questions that are geared towards acting, directing, or editing. That's my specialty. Go to my website, my channel. Go to my channel in the description below, and you'll see content that I've been creating. A lot of it humorous, a lot of it educational, a lot of it inspirational, a lot of it gives you warnings, tells you the truth about what you need to know, what you need to do to make it in this business, and also gives you information that can be useful in any career, in any endeavor that you may be working in. I start to branch out. I branched out into customer service. I'm kind of an expert in customer service. I've also taught customer service. So that's something I talk about also. And it's directly tied to acting, because ultimately, the actor is performing a service for the customer. And who is the customer? The customer is the viewer. The customer is the viewer. So I'm going to close with that. I'll see you again next Sunday. And I'll be back during the week on the vertical live stream. I love jumping on the vertical live stream for small little bits, letting you know what I'm doing, what I'm up to. So vertical live stream is something you'll see me on, and I'll be creating a lot of shorts. I'm going to create a bunch of shorts out of this. I think I have some good material in here and can make some good shorts. And I'll use those shorts to advertise for next Sunday's show. But thanks for watching on my first episode of Sunday Live, James Adam Tucker. I'll see you in the next one.